Hello everyone. Today, we'll be seeing how fast Heatmor can beat Pokemon White 2 Challenge Mode in a solo run challenge. Let's get straight into the video. For this month for daily December for Pokemon White 2 Challenge Mode, we're going to be playing with two interesting exclusives. I don't think they're exclusives in the original games, but they're definitely a duo. Heatmor and Durant. These Pokemon are often referenced to each other in their Pokedex entries. We'll do Durant later in the month, but let's talk about Heatmor right now. I've actually never played this before. We have 85 HP, 97 attack, 66 defense, 105 special attack, 66 special defense, and 65 speed. We're also in the medium fast level up group, so we're going to be leveling up okay, I guess. One thing that kinda surprised me is we're pretty close to being a balanced attacker. We definitely lean more towards special attack, but one thing I didn't realize is just how slow this thing is. I did not expect it to have a base speed that low. If you also take a look on the left hand side of your screen for our moveset, we start off with two moves, Incinerate and Lick. Very weak moves, but at least we got a stab move. And then we get Odor Sleuth, Bind, Fire Spin, Fury Swipe, Snatch, Flame Burst, Bug Bite, Slash, Amnesia, Flamethrower, Spit Up, Stockpile, and Swallow, and Inferno. Yeah, we definitely have some interesting moves. A lot of trapping moves, bad multi-hit moves. Pretty much the only good moves on our set are essentially just Flame Burst, Bug Bite, and Flamethrower. And I was kind of surprised to see this, but we actually get some very good TM coverage. The main moves we get include Sunny Day and Rain Dance for some reason, as well as Solar Beam and Dig, but no Earthquake. Return, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Rock Tomb, which is still a bad move, I probably will not teach that. Aerial Ace, Thief, Focus Blast, Incinerate, Will-O-Wisp, Shadow Claw, and Giga Impact. But honestly, even though our starting set isn't that great, I think by the end of the playthrough, I think this thing will end up doing pretty good. As I wrap up doing the Flockacy Ranch stuff before fighting the first gym leader, I also want to take a look at our nature and ability. We're going with the Rash nature, which is plus special attack minus special defense. Honestly, I probably could have considered going for a plus speed minus attack nature or minus special defense nature, but I honestly didn't think giving a plus speed nature would have really mattered in the grand scheme of things. So you know what, I'm like, you know what, I think Rash will do just fine. And our ability is White Smoke, which is actually a pretty good ability. It basically prevents stat drops from working. So basically Growl and Tail Whip will not work, Rock Tomb can never lower our speed, and this is actually our hidden ability. Our other abilities are Gluttony and Flash Fire. Flash Fire is pretty good, it would give us an immunity to fire moves, but the thing is with Gluttony is basically it would make things like Oran Berries and Citrus Berries heal more HP. Not really too useful of abilities. Although if I was banned from hidden abilities, I would definitely go Flash Fire. Having an immunity is quite nice. But you know what, I think I've rambled on long enough. Let's go take on the first gym leader, Charon. Charon leads off with his Patrat. I'm level 12 for this fight, and Incinerate is such a low power move. It's gonna 3-shot the Patrat if it weren't for the potion. But that's fine though, my defenses are pretty good. Next up is his Lillipup. The good thing is that the Lillipup has an Oran Berry, and Incinerate does burn held berries. Last up is his Challenge Mode exclusive Pidove. I go ahead and just use a Incinerate, and I have Frustration on my moveset, and I'm like, you know what? Let me try this out, and it ended up doing roughly similar damage to Flame Burst, so honestly it probably wasn't worth using. But honestly, since you got Frustration as your very first TM and your friendship isn't that good, it's worth at least trying. Plus, after you defeat Charon, you also get the TM for Return. I am obviously not going to teach that right away. And if you guys are curious, 128 friendship is the threshold where Return will be better than Frustration, because obviously that's the halfway point in your friendship, because it goes up to 255. Coming up next is the Poison type gym leader Roxy, and I somewhat consider her the half bug type gym because her ace is a bug type, and both her and Berg uses bug types. So I figured this would be a pretty good spot for Heatmor because at least I have an answer for her ace. But the thing is, I'm not going to get access to a better fire type move until level 31, where I get Flame Burst. I don't really want to say Fire Spin is an upgrade, but looking at that base power, it legitimately might be an upgrade to Incinerate. That's how bad the move is. Before I do her gym though, I do all the trainers in the Verbank complex just for a little bit extra XP. And with all of the training finished, as soon as I defeat the very last trainer in her gym, I am level 18. So let's see if this is a good enough level to take on Roxy. Roxy leads off with her coughing. I go ahead and use an Incinerate turn 1 to burn its held berry, and then I continue to just spam it until it dies. Next up, she sends out her challenge mode exclusive Grimer. I'm going to go ahead and use Incinerate on it, and then it disables my Incinerate, but that's fine though. I have Return Taught at this point because I'm pretty sure my friendship is over 128 by this point. Then on the Whirlipede, I actually use Thief on it to try and steal its berry, but then I realized, wait a minute, I'm holding a Pecha Berry, this isn't going to work, and I end up dying, but I decide to take a Blackout to keep the experience from the first two. I have a grand total of 4 Blackouts against Roxy until I finally end up winning. I mean, on the bright side though, at least I got some decent training. Blah blah blah, movies, Pokestar Studios, no one cares. Oh look, we're on a boat to Castalia City now. The first thing I do after getting the bicycle is go inside the gate to the Sky Arrow Bridge and get myself the Quick Claw. Obviously this is going to be a very good item. Plus in the building across the street from the Game Freak building, I can talk to this girl right here and get the TM for Rest. This will definitely come in handy for later spots in the run. Normally Rest in this game tends to be the most useful on the Colress fight to avoid Thunderwave, or at least from being paralyzed too much. And then inside the Battle Company right here, I can talk to this girl, tell her I obviously picked Tepig, and then I can get myself a Charcoal. This will boost the power of fire type moves by 20%. Plus I go into a couple of other buildings and talk to the Harlequins to get a free rare candy. And then inside the Castalia sewers, I pretty much get the leftovers in here every single run, so it's really nothing new. So now, let's go take on Berg. I think he's gonna go pretty good, but Berg tends to be a challenging foe sometimes when you least expect it. Berg leads off with a Dwebble. I go ahead and use Thief on it to deal a small little bit of damage to break it sturdy. Since the Dwebble has sturdy, you don't really want to go for Incinerate right away in case it traps it into a heal loop, but I honestly should have just done it because it's not like Incinerate was going to one-shot it anyway, it's just that bad of a move. Because of my errors, I get my very first reset. On the next attempt, I just use 2 Incinerates immediately and it does the job nicely. I get to level 26, deny learning Snatch, and then Incinerate can one-shot the Carablast. Then on the Levani, it goes for Grass Whistle, it unfortunately hits me, and then 2 Aerial Aces are enough to knock me out. This is what's irritating about that Levani. Grass Whistle is 55% accurate, yet that thing seems to have 80% accuracy. Or like Diamond and Pearl Hypnosis accuracy. It's really annoying that he can beat you so often with a clone of Sing. Fortunately for me though, on the very next attempt, I get the luck that I need and defeat Berg and get my 3rd badge. Before I leave for Route 4, I go inside this skyscraper right here, go to the top floor, and I can talk to this girl to get the Attract TM. This is another one of those universal TMs you can get here, and I like to just get it in most runs. And then on Route 4, before I fight Colress, I take on Fisherman Andrew. This is Shadow Stitch's favorite NPC in Black and White 1, because in Black and White 1 he has 4 Basculin, giving very good XP yields, but they really massacred his team in the sequels. He just has a Psyduck and 1 singular Basculin. Dude, the 4 Basculin was such good training, why did they have to massacre his boy like that? But anyway, the Colress fight here provides no problems just because I am a fire type. And with Colress defeated, before I proceed to Nimbasa, I will actually go ahead and pick up the TM for Dig. This could help for Elisa, but pretty much only for her Zebstrika, Flaffy, and probably not the Joltik, because the Joltik's weak to fire. But it could help with the Flaffy and the Zebstrika, although the Flaffy does have static, so I need to be careful about that. And then inside Nimbasa City, I team up with Nate to take on Ingo and Emmett for some good XP. Besides, I need to get the rare candy there later anyway. And then I go inside the old gym and take out the trainers there as well. However though, I'm not going to go take on Elisa just yet. I'm going to do what is probably one of my favorite parts of a White 2 solo run. Pokemon Breeder Gallon training. There's a Pokemon breeder named Gallon inside the Lost Lorn Forest right next to the entrance. You can rematch Pokemon breeders in this game just by reloading the area, and Gallon specifically has a Tranquil and a Liepard. These Pokemon give 2 attack EVs and 2 speed EVs respectively, so it's very good EV training if you need either of those stats. But I'm not really doing it so much for the EVs, I'm doing it for the XP, because these 2 Pokemon give a lot of experience points. So this is going to be great training for Elisa. And while doing the training, I actually get to level 31 and I can finally learn Flame Burst. It's not as good as Flamethrower, but it's going to have to do for now. I only continue the training for a few more levels until I get to level 34, and at this level, I'm feeling pretty confident in taking on Elisa right now. She leads off with an Emolga. I go ahead and use a Flame Burst right away. It outspeeds and hits Volt Switch, but that's fine. I just end up using the Flame Burst on the Flaffy, and I outspeed it, so basically she just wasted a Hyper Potion. And then the Emolga Volt Switches again into Joltik. It is a very good thing Volt Switch can't paralyze. And then on the Emolga, it hits with Volt Switch again as I use Thief on the Zebstrika, and then the Zebstrika causes a death. I decide to just keep the Blackout for the XP. Honestly, what I think I should have done was use Dig on the Emolga, so that way it switches into Zebstrika and Dig could probably one-shot it. However though, I don't end up doing that, but I just somehow beat her on my next attempt at low HP. You know what's funny? My defense stats are sort of okay. I mean, not really my special defense, but you would figure Heatmor wouldn't be struggling this bad. I kinda expected more from this Pokemon, but honestly, if this thing had started with like Fire Punch or something, it would be a lot better for sure. I don't have any issues taking on the triple battle against Motorcyclist Charles, and then I can cross the bridge to Driftvale City. Driftvale City, you sort of-ish have an advantage because his Ace Excadrill is weak to fire moves, but then again, you're weak to his entire team, so honestly not really, you're at a net disadvantage. But there are a few good things I can get in Driftvale. I can go inside the farmer's market right here and get myself an Expert Belt. This will boost the power of super effective moves by 20%. It's pretty versatile. And then I can go to the move tutor here, and with access to my 10 red shards you get from an old man in Nimbasa City's Pokemon Center, I can use all 10 of them to teach Heatmor Thunder Punch in the place of Dig. Having access to Thunder Punch is going to be very good coverage for water types, especially for the final gym, which will be coming up in a little bit. But it's obviously not going to help with Clay, but honestly I feel pretty confident with Clay right now, so let's see how this fight goes. Clay leads off with his Krokorok. It has Intimidate, but White Smoke prevents it from working, and because of that I can Bug Bite the Krokorok for the one-shot. And then I'm going to have to use 2 Flame Bursts on the Onix. Well, I was going to use 2, but then he exploded turn 1. You know, it's a good thing Explosion doesn't have your defense starting Gen 5, because that made the moves a lot worse. And then on the Excadrill, I actually get the outspeed and one-shot it. Okay, I did not expect to completely destroy Clay's entire team. That's actually pretty funny. Blah blah blah, World Tournament, no one cares, there's no gym leaders here. And once I finish the mandatory World Tournament section, I can buy myself a free vitamin. And today's singular vitamin of the day is a single calcium. You get a free battle point, you may as well get a vitamin. And get this, inside the World Tournament, you can actually talk to this trash can right here and get yourself a free zinc, and then on the docks you can get a PP up. Then I have to board the Frygate, defeat some Team Plasma Grunts, and then we can slowly make our way to Mistralton City through Chargestone Cave. Fortunately for me and Heatmor, I don't have any eventful resets or blackouts in this section of the game, so I can head up through Mistralton City and head to the Celestial Tower. Inside the tower here, you can talk to Professor Juniper and get yourself a Lucky Egg. This will boost your XP yields by 50%. And at this point, I could choose to do the training here because the trainers in this tower are actually very good. A bunch of them have fully evolved Pokemon, such as Psychic Joyce with her Musharna. I decided to do the training today because this is Heatmor, we're pretty slow, I might as well get some training here. And by the time I reach Skyla, I am level 45. So let's see if this level is good enough to take on her entire team. She leads off with her Swoobat. I have an Expert Belt equipped just for super effective damage because I can use Thunder Punch and Flame Burst for this entire team. Thunder Punch makes great work of her Swoobat and her Swanna, and then during this fight I level up to 46 and I decide to learn Amnesia over Return. The reason I taught Amnesia is because this move is actually going to be very useful for the Water Gym. But we don't have to worry about that right now. I just completely destroy Skyla's entire team. I make my way into an airplane to Lentimus Town, make my way through Reversal Mountain without any problems, and then in Undella Town, I have to take on the rival here, and his Emboar actually gets me very close to death. And it actually does. The Emboar actually knocks me out with Takedown of all moves. I really don't have a good solution for his Emboar. So what I decide to do is actually reteach Return in the place of Bug Bite. And with access to Return, it does about half to the Emboar and I can do a clean 2-shot. So yeah, I probably should have deleted Bug Bite, because Bug Bite is not that good of a move. And with the rival defeated, we gotta head through Route 13 to Lacanosa Town, listen to a boring story, fight some Team Plasma Grunts through Route 12. But on Route 12, there is a couple of things I get. There's a rare candy and a PP up here. And then we have to go through the village bridge. I go through the tennis courts to avoid the Stonewall trainer, talk to the mandatory invisible sign that's still here from the original games, and there's also a rare candy here as well. And inside the trash can there's another PP up. And after a bit more biking, we finally make our way to Opelucid City. But before I go take on the gym or anything, I actually go to Route 9 and enter the shopping mall. I'm actually going to be buying some more vitamins. And our other vitamin of the day, sorry, only one of those per video, I buy some more calciums. I got one at the World Tournament and I bought 6 more here. You generally don't get many special attack, special defense, or defense EVs while playing through this game. It's never worth buying protein or carbos for this reason, but since I'm a special attacker, I buy up all the calcium I can get. And with all the calciums loaded in my digestive system, we gotta go take on Drayden though. I am a little worried. And I should be worried because I haven't even gotten to Drayden yet. I'm fighting one of the veteran trainers at the feet of the dragon, and the Fracture and the Drudigan on this woman's team keeps completely destroying my Heatmor, and I get quite a few resets in this gym, not even from the gym leader. I do eventually defeat that trainer after a few resets, but then on the triple battle, I end up getting a blackout, and when I blacked out, I went all the way back to Drifell. It's a good thing I got Fly though, but holy crap, this gym is not going great for me. I get one more reset on the triple battle until I finally win. However though, before Drayden, I do use all of my rare candies to get straight to level 57, because I think we're going to need these levels for Drayden. So let's see how this fight goes. Drayden leads off with his Drudigan. I go ahead and use a Return turn 1. Its Citrus Berry puts it out of a 2-shot range. Well, it looked like it, but I surprisingly got the 2-shot range. And then on the Flygon, I go ahead and use Return, and then Earth Power actually knocks me out. But since I defeated the Drudigan, I decide to just take the Blackout. But honestly, even with these rare candies used, I do not feel ready to go back to Drayden, so I actually go do some more Pokemon breeder training. Not on Gallon though, because at this high of a level, he's not good anymore. I actually take on Pokemon breeder Magnolia. She is right here on this route, Route 11, just right next to Opelucid. She has an Emolga and an Altaria. This is a really good person to fight if you need special defense EVs from the Altaria, but I'm not here for the special defense EVs. I just need the XP. I come back to Drayden at level 60 to try again. At this level, the Drudigan is a clean 2-shot, no worries there, Then on the Flygon, it hits me with Earth Power, and I survive at 26 hit points remaining. And then on the Altaria, I use Return, and then it knocks me out with Dragon Pulse. I decide to do something kind of annoying. I realized I need to teach Rest. I teach Rest in the place of Amnesia. So if I'm not going to have Amnesia for the Water Gym, I'll either have to deal with it or go get a Heart Scale and get the move back. But with access to Rest, I make it to his Haxorus for the very first time. It misses Dragon Tail, fortunately, and I can actually defeat his whole team. Okay, that was really bad. I did not expect it to be this bad in routing. Well, I never routed this. I entirely did this myself. Because for Daily December, normally I have Axukarisora help me out with routing. He helped a lot with routing these solo runs throughout the year. I did not have him help with most of the Daily December content. He helped with a couple of things because they were planned a long time ago, like Visbequen, but honestly, he didn't really help me much because I didn't want him to. I wanted to see what I could do on my own. Blah blah blah, Team Plasma section. Oh look, we're in the Water Gym. But before I take on Marlin, I go to the Pokemon World Tournament and I get myself a Heart Scale and go to the Move Relearner. I need to get Amnesia back. I reteach Amnesia in the place of Rest. And with the leftovers in hand, let's go take on the Water-type Gym Leader Marlin. He leads off with a Wailord. I go for an Amnesia turn 1 and Scald doesn't really do that much, although the second one does quite a lot of damage. And I figured, you know what, I think +4 special defense is enough. And then on the Wailord, he uses a Hyper Potion. You know what's funny? If you look closely, the Hyper Potion didn't heal its health all the way back up. Which kind of shows you how much HP it's gotten. And then on the Caracosta, I go for Thunder Punch because it has Sturdy. And then it uses Rock Slide on me instead of Shell Smash like I originally thought. And because of the lack of a defense drop, the Caracosta survives, giving me a reset. Honestly, Expert Belt was definitely the better item. As soon as I get back into this fight on the winning attempt with an Expert Belt, I'm able to do a clean 2-shot on the Caracosta. And with Marlin defeated, I have all 8 gym badges. But before I can take on the Pokemon League, I gotta finish up the 2 final Team Plasma Fragate sections. The first section's usually pretty uneventful, just having a double battle with the rival, but the second section is where all the fun stuff happens with Colress and Getsis. Colress leads off with his Magneton. I have Amnesia, Rest, Return, and Flamethrower on my moveset. I set up one Amnesia to not take too much damage from his electric type attacks. His Magnezone doesn't really do much damage to me because of it. Although, you're not going to believe this, I got paralyzed and couldn't move so many freaking times in a row, and because my health gets way too low, his Matang ends up knocking me out. Okay, that was shenanigans. I do get another reset to this fight because I tend to be greedy whenever I'm paralyzed and see how long I can go without resting, and I always end up getting punished because of that, but I beat him on the 3rd try. But with Colress taken out, usually one of the harder fights in a Y2 solo run, we gotta take on Getsis, who's not generally as difficult, but since the TM for Substitute is locked in the post-game because it's in Twist Mountain, I'm not going to have a consistent way of blocking Toxic without a Pecha Berry. So let's see how the fight goes. Getsis leads with his Cofagrigus. It is surprisingly a one-shot with Flamethrower. Then on the Seismitoad, I go for Return, and then it uses Earthquake on me, which I expected, but it gets a critical hit, knocking me out in one singular turn. And whenever I lose to Getsis, I have to fight White Kyurem again. But get this though, as soon as the Seismitoad doesn't crit me with Earthquake, I defeat his entire team relatively easily. So yeah, that was definitely a fluke he had right there. But anyway, with the whole Team Plasma part of the game finished, we can make our way to Victory Road and enter the Pokemon League. But before I get to the Pokemon League, in the little Pokemon Center area just outside of Victory Road, I can go in this little weird beaten path here and get the TM for Hone Claws. I am not kidding, this is the only stat boosting TM you can get in a main playthrough besides Workup. Gen 5 really did not want you to get moves like Calm Mind, Swords Dance, and Bulk Up. A lot of those were either in the post game of the originals or locked behind battle points in the battle subway. And I actually don't have any resets in Victory Road up until the very end. On the Rival, I get a very quick reset to his Simipour because the Bouffalant did some chip damage with Head Smash and then it hits me with Surf, knocking me out. I get a few more resets on the Rival fight until I'm finally able to defeat him. Okay, Heatmor has not been doing great so far. I don't know why, but I really expected better from this thing. But maybe it can make up for things in the Pokemon League. I heal up at the center, buy some full restores, and now, let's go take on the final 5 trainers. Let's do this shit. The first member of the Elite Four I take on is Caitlyn, the user of Psychic types. I have a moveset overhaul. I have Amnesia, Rest, Hone Claws, and Shadow Claw for this fight specifically. My plan is to set up a couple of Hone Claws to make Shadow Claw defeat everything in a singular hit, but I gotta make sure to keep my health high because these Pokemon do quite a lot of damage. Plus, her Musharna has a wide lens hypnosis, so it is gonna put me to sleep a lot. And because of some bad sleep luck, I end up getting a reset here. Quite a bit of them actually, until I'm finally able to defeat her. Stupid sleep. Next up is the Ghost type Elite Four member, Chantal. Chantal is going to be a lot easier compared to Caitlyn. Her Cofagrigus, instead of having Toxic like Ghetsis' Cofagrigus, it has Will-O-Wisp, which I'm immune to, so I can set up a Hone Claws for free. I do lose the White Smoke ability because of Cofagrigus' Mummy ability, but that's fine though, it's not like I really need it. I can defeat her first 3 Pokemon in one hit with Shadow Claw, get to level 81, defeat the Bayonet with Shadow Claw, and then on the Chandelure, it does outspeed with a Choice Scarf, but fortunately its attack doesn't do enough to knock me out, and Chantal goes down. Next up is the Fighting type Elite Four member, Marshall. Marshall leads off with his throw, and a very good thing with White Smoke is moves cannot lower my stats, so Rock Tomb actually didn't lower my speed at all. And because of his lack of ability to actually lower my speed, which is essentially his whole strategy with throw, I can set up completely for free essentially. And with the ability to outspeed everything, I'm generally pretty well off for this fight, although I still have to be careful of the Sock having Sturdy, but when it survives, all it did was just miss Rock Slide. Okay, that was pretty lucky. But after how this run went, I kinda needed some luck. Next up is the Dark type Elite Four member, Grimsley. Grimsley leads off with his Liepard. I go ahead and set up a Hone Claws, and surprisingly it didn't go for Fake Out. That Liepard has Unburden in a normal gem. Normally if it uses Fake Out, it's actually quite good for it, but hey, I'll take it. I can set up to +2 with Hone Claws, and then one-shot his entire team with Return, except for the Bisharp obviously, but that's fine though, it can't really do too much to me anyway. Honestly, other than Caitlyn, the Elite Four generally went pretty good. But we still have the champion left, so let's go take on the champion of Unova, Iris. Iris leads off with Hydreigon. I go ahead and use an Amnesia because this Hydreigon is a pure special attacker, so you can literally just set up Amnesia here for free. Plus the leftovers will slowly heal me up as well. And with access to the 3 Amnesias, I use 3 Hone Claws, and I'm like, you know what, this should be enough. I go ahead and use rest, and I prepare for the eventual doom that awaits her entire team. As soon as I wake up, I begin the return spree. Return, unfortunately, is my only attacking move at this point, and it really did not do much damage on the Aggron. And once I realized that, I'm like, okay, maybe I should set up to +6. And then the head smash from the Aggron does so much damage, and I actually get knocked out. Okay, I think I need a slight strategy change. And by slight strategy change, I mean just constantly ramming my head against a wall with the same strategy, just hoping for different results. And I don't know why, but I ended up getting different results, although it was kind of unoptimal. Instead of having return, I have rock smash. And even with this strategy, I still ended up getting a few more resets onto Iris, but eventually I do defeat her final Pokemon and clock in with a real time of 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 51 seconds, with 24 resets, 8 blackouts at level 83, with a game time at the Hall of Fame of 5 hours and 54 minutes. Okay, yeah, Heatmor did pretty frickin' bad. If I were to do a comparison to like an earlier generation, let's think Generation 1 for example. What's a Pokemon that you would expect to do pretty good, but ends a pretty bad Pokemon for a fire type? The one Pokemon I think of for Generation 1 is probably Arcanine, because Arcanine generally isn't that great because its level up moveset is absolutely terrible despite having really good stats. But you know what, it still did better than a lot of other things I've done. Just look at the leaderboard here. Yeah. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this run. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. And be sure to follow me on my socials or support the channel through YouTube memberships. YouTube members get access to the patch files for all the backport Pokemon we do on stream. Later in the month in Y2, we'll do Durant, which I think will do better. But tomorrow, we're going to start off Pokemon Omega Ruby with Hydreigon. I actually couldn't decide the 2 Pokemon for Daily December for Omega Ruby, so I actually told Axew he can choose the Pokemon. And the first Pokemon we're doing is Hydreigon. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow as we continue Daily December.